I'm going to begin, Annie, just by saying, this is a sort of real fascinating look into the war from a sort of female perspective. I think we saw the same with Testament of Youth a while ago. We're so used to seeing films set around this time on the battlefield or in the war rooms. Is that the appeal of this kind of story to you, was to delve in from the perspective of this lead character, this female protagonist?
Well, I think so. It's also, the story itself is not the typical, chop them up on the battlefield story. So it is by its very nature less kind of brutal and, manly battle fighting. So maybe it's a more feminine story. But I think it's interesting to see the war story told from the woman's point of view, the point of view of the people who are not on the front lines but are still fighting a war, and people who are natural caretakers being confronted with people who need care and having to pay the price for it.
And in many ways as well, it's a sort of celebration of humanity. I mean, I love the spirit of the people in this. I mean, again, when we delve into wartime set sort of stories, it's very much about death and destruction, but this is really about kind of the notion of community and hope as well.
Right, which makes it, I think that makes it a very special kind of war story, because that was what happened on the islands during the occupation. Everybody was stuck there for 5 years together, and you do create a community in those circumstances.
And was it quite difficult to let go of the book and leave it in the hands of other people and other storytellers? I mean, as an incredible experience, I'm sure this was, as the author, is it always that challenge where you just think, I've got to let go and I've got to let someone else bring their own take to this story? But that must be quite difficult in some ways.
You pass your baby over to somebody else. But I think I felt that the most important thing for me to do was to give the book to people I trusted, and I definitely trusted Mitch and Paula, the producers of the movie. When they optioned the book, I felt, all right, these are people I can trust. I know that they're literary. I know they care, and they've certainly proved that with their perseverance over the long haul of making this movie. So I think they're the right people.
And were you involved much in this kind of day-to-day? Did you go onto the set and sort of visit and meet the guys?
I went to the set last year. I came to London last year when they were filming. That my involvement consisted of me sitting there sort of sniffling and tears in my eyes watching them film it. And it was so thrilling and exciting. But I can't say I was very helpful in the procedure.
And I was looking into, off the back of this, I was sort of interested in some of the sort of unique sort of societies and clubs you get kind of in England. And I found some amazing ones. You get people like the Didgeridoo Club and the Scale Electric Club, where people just meet up and talk about their own kind of passions. And there's Ukulele Wednesdays as well, which I shouldn't forget. But what would you say is your passion? What if you could join a club or a society of some kind, what would be the sort of thing you go for?
Oh, it would have to do with books. It would definitely be something with books, but it would be something sort of obscure. Probably a group of grown-ups who only wanted to read children's books, or people who are only going to read stories about animals or something like that. I've been in writing groups too, but they're not nearly as much fun as reading groups.
And what was the last great book you read?
Let's see. Oh, I just read a wonderful book. Just finished a book called Reservoir 13 by a British guy, John McGregor, I believe his name is. Fantastic book. Loved that. Very, very strange, very beautiful.
Because I know I was speaking to some sort of directors, and they say when they watch other movies, as a director, they kind of see the mechanics behind the film sometimes. They can struggle to invest in a film in the same way as an author. Do you find the same thing when you read other books?
Yes, it's sad. I have to really try very hard to read as a reader, not as a writer. I hate it when I start picking apart sentences right in the middle of reading something. I want to just be able to relinquish and go to the book and just be the reader, but it's hard after being a writer for so many years.
And so what are you working on now? Have you got any other books or any stories in the pipeline?
Oh, of course I do. I always have something, many irons in the fire, because I'm a children's book writer. Yeah. So I have a kid's book coming out later this year. I've got a couple of picture books coming out next year. I have an adult novel that's with my editor. Many, many things stewing all at once.
So what do you get, would you say, more pleasure derived from if you have an adult come up to you in the street and say, oh, I've read the Guernsey, and say how wonderful it is, or if you have a child sort of just come up to you and say how much they love their story, is there a difference?
Oh, Complete difference. I mean, the little darlings, they're so cute. I have to say that gives me an enormous amount of pleasure. Grown-ups are certainly more articulate, and they don't ask you how old you are, which is what children do all the time. And they don't run off screaming ever, that's a big pleasure. It's nice to talk to a grown-up. You get a complete sentence out before they give up on you. But the children are so funny. I think I'll just keep on writing for children just so I can hang out with them.
And just finally, just a quick, I mean, but you were talking earlier about leaving this in kind of good hands, and obviously the hands, you mentioned the producers, but also to have Mike Newell at the helm. I mean, he's one of the great kind of living directors. I mean, that must have been, to know that he was at the helm must have been quite reassuring, I suppose.
Yes, it was such, I mean, I felt, oh, well, this will certainly work out. He will certainly know what to do. And then when I was watching the filming, just the fact that he could have a vision in the middle of all that chaos, I was filled with respect.
Thanks so much for your time. So much appreciated.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,